Hey everyone, so I have something I want to talk about today, and I'm gonna make a really shitty video about it because why the hell not? A lot of people talk about how things will get better for them, and about how you just have to stick through until they get better. This is about that actually. Um, so 2 years ago is when I started figuring out my gender. I identify as genderqueer now. When I started figuring it out, I first identified as bigender, which is a form of genderqueer. But so I wanted to get a binder because it would have helped with my dysphoria, etc., etc. And so I started figuring it out in the spring of 2012. I came out to my parents the end of summer of 2012, which honestly it was a little early, and I think that had I waited it might have gone better. Had I figured myself out, it would have gone better, but it's what happened. I had done it so they could possibly help me get a binder. Instead, I was met with resistance. My parents didn't understand. They rejected the idea of me being any other gender than the one I was assigned at birth. They equated it with rebellion. They started linking it to things like school. Like if I wasn't doing well in school, they'd bring that into an argument about it. And like when we would have arguments about something, like school, as I just said, they would bring into some stuff with my gender. And I distinctly remember one argument where my mother started bringing it into that argument, and I stopped and said, this has nothing to do about that. And it's one of those things where, like, for the first year or so, more than a year, it was rough because my parents were getting more used to the idea. It was a lot of having to be patient, and it was having to not be out at school. It was having to not be out with a lot of friends that I had because I was still figuring it out and I didn't know if I was comfortable with being out. And it was rough because at school I was constantly misgendered. My preferred pronouns are they, them, and I was constantly referred to as the pronouns I was assigned at birth, and that really sucked. I had gym my sophomore year, which is the year where it was after I started figuring stuff out, and gym really sucked because I didn't really have any friends in that class, so that didn't really help with any of the dysphoria. And on top of that, I was being referred to as my birth pronouns, so that really sucked. That really, really sucked. That year really sucked in that respect, but I learned how to pick my battles for that also, so that year also really helped me grow. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is that today on my dash on Tumblr, I saw a post about the stylish but illegal monkey that happened back in 2012, winter of 2012. And that reminded me of something that happened winter of 2012 around Christmas time. Because that meme happened around Christmas time, oh my god. But, as a joke, like, I told my dad about the monkey because I thought he would find it funny. He did a little bit. And this was the year that, I had just come out. They were still not really getting what was going on with my gender, and it was still very frictiony. Like, I guess a good way to put it would be like two tectonic plates. They were going like this. You know, they were like starting to move some friction, like about to have an earthquake. Yeah? So that was before Christmas. Usually my mom would have my sister and I make our wish lists of what we want for Christmas. And so as a joke, I wrote a quick one that said Alex's wish list, which is my preferred name and such, not my birth name. And I just said Alex's wish list, stylish but illegal monkey. and put it on the fridge and told my dad to go look at it. And he kind of looked at it and said, Alex's wish list. And just kind of like laughed and shook his head and left. And it was like, it was one of those things that like it hurt a little bit, but I also understood that they're still warming up to the idea. And so, skip ahead another year to the Christmas of 2013. And it had been over a year after I had come out to my parents with my gender, and I forget exactly when, but they started really accepting it more and realizing that this isn't just a phase, this is who I am, this is what I am, and they started to respect it a lot more. They've been really working on my name and pronouns, and it's been really good in that respect. Obviously, there's still some parts that like are kind of rough, but something with those tectonic plates, it finally shifted and got to that better place where everything is kind of starting to actually really fall together. They're actually starting to understand and respect. But each Christmas, my family hosts a Christmas party for family, friends, and so, Christmas Eve party. And so, Christmas Eve party of 2013, my dad kind of took me and brought me around to all the family friends and just kind of like had me like in his arms and said, have you met Alex? And most of the family friends, like, they didn't know about my gender or anything, or maybe they did, but most of them didn't. And so my dad brought me around and said, have you met Alex? And it was really nice because it was finally my parents, or at least my dad, who was really the one that I had a lot more trouble with in getting him to accept me and accept my gender and stuff like that. He was bringing me around and introducing me again as who I really am, my name, and it was kind of a really nice, like, start again. I got to come out more with the help of my parents this time, and it was really, really nice. No one really asked questions. It wasn't like, Alex, why did you choose Alex? Why did you change your name? They just said, oh, okay, cool. And a lot of times it's like that. I mean, I live in a very liberal part of the U.S. I am surrounded by very liberal people because my parents are very liberal, and so they tend to, gather with other liberal people. But, the past 2 years, coming up on 3, they've been pretty damn good to me. And, like, at first things might seem rough and there might start to be a lot of friction between your tectonic plates, but hopefully if you give it enough time, and probably if you give it enough time, those things will shift. And things will start to get better, and people will start to really come together more and be able to really understand each other more. So, yeah, I'm going to stop this before this gets too long and I keep rambling, so have a cool day, guys. Y'all are cute, and keep doing the stuff you love, because you're cool.